Side Hustle Show 130, how to create massive influence and profit from virtual summits, even if you have no audience.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
What's up, hustlers? Nick Loper here. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Side Hustle Show because, hey, extra income never goes out of style. In this episode, which is number 130, you'll learn how to create massive influence and profit through a virtual summit, even if you have no existing audience. So first up, definitions, right? A virtual summit is like an online conference with expert speakers presenting on topics that they're knowledgeable about. You can watch online from the comfort of your own home, so there's no travel expense. They're generally free or very inexpensive to attend. Often you'll see them free for a limited time, followed up by like a lifetime pass, lifetime access that's offered up for sale. So it's great from an attendee standpoint. It's great from a speaker standpoint. It's speakers get exposure to new audiences, plus potential to earn money as an affiliate, which we'll get into. I've participated in a couple virtual summits so far this year. It's always been a ton of fun to to see who else is out there, because there's always other people online that I don't know, that don't know about me, and it's a great exposure for speakers, and it's great for the host. This is the really exciting part, because a virtual summit is like an accelerator in your business growth. It fast tracks your authority, your influence, your email list, and your bottom line. Now, this summer, I had the honor of being one of the speakers at Chandler Bolt's Self-Publishing Success Summit, which, if you guys were following along, was just an off-the-charts success. In 2 weeks, during the summit, Chandler and his team brought in over 20,000 email subscribers. 20,000, just grasp your head around that volume there, and did more than $100,000 in revenue for their lifetime pass sales. Now, percentage of that obviously is going to their affiliate partners, but just off the charts successful with their self-publishing success summit. And today on the show, I'm really excited to introduce you to kind of the behind-the-scenes architect, the puppet master for that event, Navid Moazzez. Now, Navid, you'll hear me tripping over his name during the recording as well. He's the go-to guy on virtual summits. In late 2014, so just under a year ago, he hosted the Branding Summit. It was about personal branding and how you can build your own authority online. And now at the time, he had a modest list. He had 1,000 email subscribers. He'd been blogging. He built up a little bit of a following. But that summit quadrupled that number and generated $20,000 in revenue the month it went live. And the following month, he earned double that, primarily by promoting, relevant affiliate offers to his new and enlarged audience. So then he quit his day job and was off to the races. So this is an action-packed episode. Now, as always, I've compiled the notes and highlights along with Navid's top virtual summit tips into a free downloadable PDF for you. You can grab that at sidehustlenation.com/130 or through the link in the episode description of your podcast player app. Ready? Let's roll.
The branding summit, which I did in late 2014, changed my entire business and life. I was struggling before I did the branding summit. I came up with this idea that I wanted to position myself as an expert in personal branding. So I just invited a bunch of people on there, and what the result led to, I had a lot of fears before, my promoting it, but the opt-ins started coming in. And at the end of that summit, just to go quickly over the results now, I added about 3,000 new email subscribers to my list for free.
Wow. And
now I have close to 8,000 in total on my email list. And I got about 200 sales and $20,000 in profit. I quit my job. I moved abroad, which, now I live in Cancun, but I could live anywhere, run my business from my laptop, as long as I have some internet. And that just gives me this freedom, which I always wanted in my life. And, I had some fans when I did my summit, but I turned those fans, which I had a list of around 1,000 people when I first did the branding summit, and I turned those fans into super fans, and some even into lifelong customers, because there was so much value in my summit. I mean, I went crazy. I had like 88 speakers on my virtual summit. It was a little bit too, yeah, it was a little crazy, but I don't recommend people go overboard like that. But anyway, I turned those into lifelong customers. When I promote an affiliate, offer, I endorse to my list or something like that, and I have some people, they buy everything, my virtual summit mastery program, all these things they're interested in, and that happened because of a summit. I got more premium consulting clients, could charge more.
So as you can see, this was a complete game changer for Navid's business. And how virtual summits typically make money, because they're free to attend, they're free to send out to everybody, and that's how it works as a list building tactic. But how they make money is by offering an all access pass or lifetime pass, because realistically, nobody has time to sit around and watch 88 speakers, right? And so Navid said, hey, if you want to do this on your own pace, you can do that. And he explained how these summits do that lifetime pass upsell.
You have a thank you page right away. When they opt in, they go to this thank you page, and there they can, hey, thank you for signing up for the branding summit or self-publishing success summit. And they have like 3 steps there to, whitelist the email, and then they have this irresistible offer, which is like, a little bit lower price than it would be after the summit, normally like $97 or something like that. So it feels really easy for people to essentially take action and take out the credit card and just purchase. And that's the power, it's essentially building a funnel, start with a free offer and then offer something for sale. So it's quite simple. We can get into the tech and what you need for that. But what I wanted to get to is like what happens after the summit is like just so powerful. The month after my summit ended, I made over $40,000 in January of 2015 alone. And, that was through affiliate promotions. I became the number 1 affiliate for Amit Sethi for his, premium online business training Zero to Launch.
Okay.
Even won his grand cash prize, of I think it was like $7,500 for
nice work.
Bringing him. Yeah, I won that. I even brought him the most sales in front of John Lee Dumas, Laura Roeder, his brother Manish Sethi. So it's not really about how big
he's got his brother promoting his stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's quite funny. His brother promoted it, but obviously that makes sense. He's a big email list and all that. But it's not always about how big your list is. My list was about 3,500 people, or maybe a little bit more at the time when I promoted this launch. But I have built up a very good level of engagement and level of trust with my audience over some time. And, the summit obviously helped with that and just took things to another level when I then promoted his launch. I also made some pre-sales for my virtual summit program. Since people in my audience, they actually came to me, hey, Navid, how did you put together this epic summit? And it was not something I planned to do to help people create, promote, and profit from the virtual summit. It was not, but it just happened to plan out this way. And then after this, month of January, I got featured on Business Insider, and that article got over 168,000 views alone to this date. So it just snowballed afterwards, got posted on Yahoo Finance. Then I got, again, I think on Business Insider, that article has over 150,000 views. So wow. It just snowballed, and it brought, the first article got over 2,000 email subscribers to my list. So you can imagine, like, you do something new and noteworthy, like putting together some epic event or something worth talking about, and then you get featured there and you get a big return. In my case, thousands of new email subscribers to my list, and thousands of dollars in profit to my business.
So Navid quadrupled his email list, made a ton of money. But there's a couple of things I want to point out from this section was, one, he took the initiative, he took the action to do something noteworthy, to do something remarkable, to do something that offered a ton of value to his modest audience that he had at the time, and it accelerated from there. And then the snowball keeps spinning and growing, and you heard him talk about, hey, because I did something remarkable, that got me this press attention, which earned me more subscribers, and it just keeps going from there. The cool thing was he listened to what his audience wanted and gave it to them. And it sounds very simple, but hey, how did you put together this summit? Okay, maybe there's something in there. And before that, it was like, hey, people really took an interest in this article I wrote on personal branding. Oh, maybe I should maybe I should do something there. And it just keeps going from there. And the cool thing is this can be applied to just about any industry.
It works in any niche, basically. I've seen it in the cinematography or something like that. I've seen a great summit there. I've seen in the travel space. I see pretty much any niche with a summit. It just works. It's just how you position it. And, there's a lot of things that goes into that we can talk about. But I've seen it in all across different niches.
Very cool. So let's kind of like you say if I'm starting out, if I want to host a summit of my own, like what's the first thing do I need to do? Like kind of line up the speakers, or is there something before that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I talk about a lot, especially, and I have a 7-step cheat sheet. And the first step there is to define your profitable virtual summit theme. And what I mean by that is coming up with, so you go after the right niche pretty much. So what field do you want to position yourself as an expert in? Or if you have a business, maybe you could even survey your audience and see what they're interested in hearing more about. What speakers do they want on there? And it's important that you don't go with, let's say you're in the online marketing space or online business summit. It doesn't say so much. You have to go more specific than that. And that's why the Self-Publishing Success Summit was such a success. It was like, people who wanted to write and publish and market their first book and turn that into a 6-figure business, and they sign up for this. They're like, okay, they were both nonfiction and fiction writers that signed up, but it was mostly probably targeted to nonfiction. But that's what we saw with it. Like, that's the power of going super, super specific. That's why one of the reasons, not the only reason, we were great at promotion too, but people signed up like crazy because it was very specific, in terms of the result they could get by going through this summit. Right.
And this cheat sheet is available at virtualsummitmastery.com/cheat sheet. So if you guys want to check that out and follow along.
That's great. And, something else I wanted to mention, obviously that's great with, defining your profitable virtual summit theme. And something else that goes into this step is also thinking about, do you have any relationships with the influencers in your field? If you have that, that's great. Start going after those. That's like the first thing. Maybe you can even get some introductions to some speakers, and so it just makes it a little bit easier. But if you want to do a summit like maybe 4 to 5 months from now, don't like wait until the time you want to start preparing it. Like say, okay, let's see who I'm going to invite on. Start preparing in advance. Build relationships, with people before you actually need them. That's so important because people like to help their friends. It's much easier to say yes to someone you know who it is. For example, if I were to invite you on a summit, Nick, you know me for quite some time. It's easier to say yes, maybe and promote the summit to your list and social media and so on. Mm-hmm. So I would totally say that's the first thing I would do when it comes, maybe putting together a brainstorm document with all these things, starting planning it together a little bit so you don't come out of nowhere and you think it's going to work. It's better to have a planning. With Chandler, with the Self-Publishing Success Summit, we actually created like a brainstorm document first. And, he came to me, okay, these are the speakers, I would like to invite on kind of a, hit list or, with a list of speakers and, make that bigger than the number you want to have on your summit. Since some people will probably say no, or they don't have time at the moment. So that's the first thing before you even start inviting speakers on. And even before inviting them on, get a landing page up, get a simple landing page up so you can start putting speakers on there so they see that your summit is of high quality, it looks great and so on.
Do you pay for the speakers' time?
I normally don't recommend you pay speakers to be part of a summit. At least that's not something I've done for any summits or the ones that my clients and students put together. Okay. Let's say you want someone like Gary Vaynerchuk or Tim Ferriss on your summit. You might actually have to pay for them, or at least buy a lot of books in their case, because they are just so big they wouldn't have time. Okay. That's not something I've personally explored, but I know there's always a way to get around things, and you just have to be creative. And if you have money to invest in this, go for it. Go for it. But especially if you're doing your first summit, you don't have to go so far. You can still get some great names. We had like Brian Tracy on, we had Michael Port, we had so many. We had you on there. We had like a lot of great names on Self-Publishing Success Summit. I had the same for the Branding Summit. Even before I established, everything, it was just, I invited people on and a lot of people said yes. And I found like a few key aspects when it comes to influencers actually saying yes to be a speaker on your summit. And the first thing is really, if you have an established relationship with them already from before, maybe you've talked to them on social media. It doesn't have to be that much. Maybe you share their blog post or interacting with them in some way. So the email you're sending them is actually warm and not cold. That makes a big difference. And that's not something that is so hard to do in the beginning. It's just you have to put a little bit of time into it.
Yeah, this is something that you're a pro at. And this probably started a year or a year and a half ago. Like every new blog post I would put up, and I would log into Twitter and see my notifications, and I would see that Navid had shared that. And it would be like, here's the latest post from @nloper. And I'd be like, this guy is awesome. He shares all of my stuff. And I'm sure it's like all automated. Then I can look at your feed and be like, oh, he's doing this for everybody. So everybody is, logging into their Twitter notifications and seeing the exact same thing and probably having the exact same reaction. Hey, this guy's awesome. He shares all my stuff.
Yeah, I did this for a few people. I did it for people I wanted to build a relationship with. Obviously, I checked out their content. I made sure I knew what their content is about. It's not like I would just put it on auto and I don't know if it would be a great fit for my audience. But in this case, it's a great fit. I knew already, like, your podcast is great. Your blog posts, they're of high quality. So I used a tool for that called twitterfeed.com. It's just, you can set up with a, Twitter handle, and it's very straightforward. You just have to make sure you add via Nick, what's your Twitter? Nick Looper or something?
At nloper, yeah.
And Loper, yeah, right. Or at Navid Moazzez, for example. That's just, you have to make sure so they get notified. That's very important. But other than that, it's very straightforward. I found it working well on Twitter. I tested it on Facebook. It's not as powerful on Facebook to share things automatically. But on Twitter, it works great. And that's what I did. But not only that, you can leave thoughtful comments, stuff like that. And if you don't have the relationship established already, do you have a friend who can introduce you to this influencer? That could also work great. And something else here is that the people usually, judge the summit by how it looks a little bit. If the design, we had a very powerful and great design for the Self-Publishing Success Summit, and just gets people, excited to put their name on there, their face, and that's also quite important. When I'm speaking to speakers, why they say yes, some mention actually the design is very important. And also the other experts you have on the summit. If you are featured alongside Michael Port, Brian Tracy, maybe Neil Patel, and a lot of other people, it's easier to say yes, because maybe you are friends with them, or at least you know who they are. It's just this social proof. It builds on it, and you can include that when you're reaching out to someone, even if it's cold. You should at least reach out, but with something positive. Maybe you read a blog post of theirs. Maybe you had a result by going through something you read, or a podcast or something like that, or read their book. Whatever it is, include that in the first sentence of the email, and then you can mention who you have on your summit. I'm putting together this epic summit about, maybe if it's a self-publishing success summit, you would mention some speakers you have on there. And then would you be interested to be part of it? And then you don't keep it too long. Just keep it straight to the point and get people excited. And so they say an initial yes. And then you can get on kind of a pre-call with them and give them more details in emails, what's involved, the promotion, scheduling for the interview, and so on.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is even if you don't have a huge audience of your own, you can kind of borrow some influence from influential speakers. You don't have to pay them, or you should probably, if you don't have budget, definitely don't worry about paying speakers to do that. Try and build whatever relationship you can, or highlight whatever relationship you can, or get a third party introduction to some of these speakers. And so in Chandler's case, we've done a couple of podcasts, we've hung out in person, it was no problem. But a couple of people have approached me, okay, I've never heard of you. I've never heard of any of your other speakers. And that's a little bit more of I don't really know, what this is. I don't know if this is a great fit, but it's even if you have, a small sliver of a relationship, that can make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's not hard to build. It's hard to build a real solid friendship, but that's not what I mean by saying you need a relationship. You need them. It's good if they know a little bit about you. For example, when I reach out to someone, not all the time, but in some case I try to, have some form of established relationship from maybe Facebook or Twitter, whatever I'm using. I'll try to comment on their post or share their content. But if you don't have that, you just do what I said, just read something of theirs. Maybe you can leave a book review. If they're an author and very busy, you can leave a video review of their book. Or I've heard actually something very powerful, if you want to go the extra mile, is to send a video invitation to the speaker. Tell them why you want them on their summit, why they are the best fit for your summit, and just do that. They never get video invitations pretty much, and that's a great way to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, interesting. Now, do you have a rule of thumb for how many speakers make for a killer event? Like you said, maybe not 88 or 80.
No, definitely not 88. I mean, that's just. I mean, I had 88 because I wanted to create the most epic resource for personal branding ever created. And I think I did a pretty good job at that. Yeah, just I worked all the time. So I didn't have a team. I just had my designer helping me. So I don't recommend that. It just takes a lot of time with the planning, and it's just difficult in terms of you don't need that. A rule of thumb, I would say, what I see when I modeled people in the past, around 20 to 30 people. I've seen live summits with less speakers, like Marissa Murray-Troy, she has 10 to 15 or something like that on her summits.
Okay.
That work great. It depends really on the relationships you have with some people, because you can kind of estimate a little bit how big your summit will be in terms of how much the speakers will promote and the other people in your space that might promote. But I would say 20, 30 people, this great speakers that make sense for your event. Maybe in some cases, with Chandler, we had almost 50. And that worked great because we had a good structure of the event. So in 3 to 4 interviews per day through a 10 to 15 day period, that's pretty good.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I can run for a long time. I think it was yours.
Even 7 days, 7 to 15 days. It doesn't, I've seen from 7 to 15 days. My summit was 30 days. It was nuts. So I don't recommend that. It's like sending emails every day. It worked for me well, but it's better to do it over a concentrated period of time. I think I've seen Nick Unsworth of Life on Fire. He did one spread out where he would have an interview every other week live, and that worked for him. So it's different ways of approaching this.
Yeah, I think I remember getting your message and about the branding summit, and I was like,
yeah,
I must have missed the part about it being virtual, and I was like, man, this thing is going on forever. People are traveling, or I didn't understand it, but I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. So you had the lifestyle architects podcast. What made the material from the summit different from a podcast interview? If I wanted to do this side hustle virtual summit, how would that be different from these shows?
Yeah, I can say that would be probably a very popular summit. But I can tell you also that I say that the Virtual Summit is like a podcast on steroids, but it's so much more than that. It's the positioning, can be, is a little bit different. It's perceived as higher value, with a summit than just a regular podcast interview. But you want to look at, Virtual Summit the same way you would look at it when you're creating a product or an online course. Actually, it's very similar. That's how we approached it with the Self-Publishing Success Summit and why it turned out so well. Obviously the similarity with the podcast, is that you interview experts in your field, not just audio. I wouldn't recommend just doing audio. I would actually recommend doing it via Skype, video, or Google Hangouts. That's also perceived as higher value. You can also have it in audio version and the video, just better. And you feature a bunch of experts on your summit. But not only that, you grow your list rapidly, you borrow off their authority. And here's the best part, I think, is that you don't actually have to create all the content since you're interviewing the influencers for your summit, and essentially they are creating the product for you, and it's not just interviewing a bunch of people. I mentioned this, that's how it can be similar to podcasts. Maybe a podcast is 25 to 45 minutes or something like that, and you have different topics every time, so it doesn't follow a real structure. And I've seen a lot of people do these kind of summits where they just line up a bunch of interesting people, but it doesn't follow some phases or in courses like modules or something like that. I mean, you've probably been through a bunch of courses yourself, Nick, and most great courses out there, they actually follow a very step-by-step system or process. And that's what we wanted to do with this summit. we created with the Self-Publishing Success Summit, we wanted to essentially make it so people could go through this and get some great results, actionable results, and that would be the end goal of it. They could monetize their efforts with publishing their book. And we had 3 phases. The first was writing, the second was marketing, publishing, and then we had a monetizing phase. So in each phase, we kind of generally went back and forth, like who would go into the first phase, and that's how we planned out with the speakers, where they actually would fit in the best. And that's how it turned out to be this epic summit, but also I would see it more as a course or an intro course to maybe an high-end product Chandler has. So it's essentially the same way he would teach it in his program. And a little bit more in-depth than just a regular 20 to 30-minute podcast interview. Maybe go a little bit more like 45 minutes to an hour to get some more meat, get the most valuable information you can out of the speakers, so they share their most high-level stuff, essentially. And yes, some summits, they go with pitching at the end. We didn't have that. We didn't want it to be about the pitches. We wanted it to be about the content.
Oh, with the guests doing a pitch for their own thing?
Yeah, like I've seen that with Marissa Murgatroyd's summit, and they work great. That's a great way to monetize the summit with affiliate commissions from speakers' product and whatever they have going on. And we did link up speakers' books below the videos, in the inner pages for each speaker. We did link that up, and we did link up occasionally some products if they had that, if they made sense. But they didn't make like a hard pitch with slides and all that you would see on a webinar. We didn't want that. We wanted to make it solely about the content. But both ways would work. It just depends on what you want for your summit.
Okay. No, that's an interesting monetization angle for sure. Let's get into the production side. How much lead time does it take to pull something like this off?
I would recommend putting aside around 3 months from start to finish, especially if you want to create a really great event. If you have very little online marketing experience, as I mentioned, it's like all pieces. It's like all pieces involved in online marketing. Like creating a summit, you need to create high converting landing pages, building relationships with influencers, creating thank you order pages, inner pages, setting up a funnel. It's a lot of pieces that goes into this. And if you have no online marketing experience, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming to learn all these things in a short time. So maybe 4 to 5 months is more realistic. If you are a beginner, if you are more seasoned and you know your stuff, maybe 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of moving parts that goes into this.
Yeah, definitely.
So I noticed, you mentioned Infusionsoft. I noticed they're using lead pages.
Yep.
What's the technology picture look like behind the scenes to get this done? And maybe is there a more bootstrappy way to get this done without that investment?
Yes. First, I can go into the way we did it with the Self-Publishing Success Summit, and a little bit similar how I did it with the Branding Summit. So I had my designer on board. We created a custom WordPress theme, and that's what we use essentially for, if you go to selfpublishingsuccesssummit.com, I think it's still live. You can see the landing page there, and if you were part of it, you could see actually the inner pages. There was just essentially free WordPress, it was free, not protected content at all. So anyone could visit, but we made the interviews go live. We had specific times when each interview would go live. So I scheduled this. Actually, there's a little hack I came up with for his summit. I don't know why I didn't do it for mine. I kind of went in there manually. But for this one, I scheduled everything to go live at a specific time, and it made it a lot easier. And then when we were to remove the interview, I just put it in draft or remove the video essentially. So that's pretty simple. It's not even protected for the free part of the summit. And don't go cheap on the hosting, really. Don't use like a Bluehost or something like that. And unless you are on your own servers, but I don't recommend it, because this summit went down actually because they were on a not so good
really?
solution.
I didn't know if that was the server really crashed, or if that was like them being marketers.
Yeah, they got so many clicks, so that went down. So I don't recommend that. I recommend going on a great solution. I use Flywheel. I never had any problems with this for my summit or for when I got featured on Business Insider, got like tens of thousands of people to visit my website. I never had any problems. That's a great solution. WP Engine, I know that they have great stuff. And Cloudways, that's what my friend Jan used for his summit. It worked great for him. So just go a little bit more premium on the hosting. You know, that's kind of my number one advice when it comes to technology. And obviously, you need the domain for the summit, and then for the protected content, you go with wishlist member or anything that can protect, content online pretty much. But wishlist is what we are using. It's like $97 for a single license, and that's what we use for the all access pass. When someone purchases, the summit, they get added to, the buyers list or, buyers tag, and then they get an email so they can log into the membership area, which is essentially a separate website. It's just members.selfpublishingsuccesssummit.com or something like that, and they can log in. Vimeo, we didn't use that for Self-Publishing Success Summit, but it was because we didn't have time. But I do recommend going with a Vimeo Pro to protect your videos so people can't embed them on other websites. Like you can protect that, so you say only it's available on, for example, your website or whatever you want it to be. Okay. So Vimeo Pro is like $197. Then email service provider, you don't have to go with Infusionsoft. That's more premium, but Aweber, Mail.
Sorry, what did you end up using for video for self-publishing?
We use just YouTube, but we are moving it to Vimeo. So for the paid content, I recommend Vimeo Pro. It's just better since people can't embed them. They don't see the YouTube link, so they can click over to YouTube and download the videos, all this stuff. So you can protect all this if you're using Vimeo Pro or even Vistia, but be a little bit careful if you're using Vistia especially if you're getting a lot of people on your summit, so you don't, the bandwidth can go up to thousands of dollars if you're unlucky.
Oh, okay. It's a pay per use kind of thing versus Vimeo is unlimited.
Yeah, something like this. It can work great for online courses when you're not getting crazy views, but when you probably don't have thousands of people, every day watch your videos in an online course. But with a summit, it happened. We got like thousands of views for our videos every single day. And, with a solution like that, wouldn't be very economical. Okay. So email service provider, Aweber, or like MailChimp, if you're like starting out, is great. What I used for Branding Summit was Aweber. Set it up in there, worked fantastic. Infusionsoft is great if you want to be able to automate some things, down the road, set up funnels. And if you're more advanced and have that already, Infusionsoft is what we use for the latest summit here.
Okay, but you can get by with a MailChimp.
Oh yeah, okay. Definitely. Don't invest in something more than you need for the moment. Especially if you're starting out, that wouldn't be that great. So I've also heard since it can cost, like as mentioned, with a custom WordPress site, a few $1,000s. There's also options to use themes out there, which is easy to customize. I know Jan used, I think, a theme, but he's a designer, but he may manage to customize it and help some people do it with this theme. ClickFunnels is what Anthony Tran used for traffic generation all-stars. That worked out very well for him. It looked fantastic. I've seen people use even lead pages. There's some templates there. So there's not an ultimate solution for creating all the pages with a summit. I wouldn't say that. ClickFunnels, they might be close, but they don't have an affiliate program as of this recording. In terms of cost, few $100s to a few $1,000s. Even if you want to spend on ads, it can go even more. We had prices, stuff like that for the latest summit. Obviously, we counted that we make a lot of money, so it made sense for us to do this. When you are doing a summit from start, you don't know the numbers really. So don't focus on adding prices and having this massive affiliate launch, all this. It just make it very simple for yourself. Sign up for an affiliate program. Yes, I would recommend you do that so you learn the process. And if you're not using like Infusionsoft, which has it built in, you can use, if ClickFunnels comes out with it, they will be great. Deal Guardian is what I used for my summit. Deal Guardian was great. ClickBank, it's pretty good. You just have to be aware of that they have some strict rules that you need to be able to deliver content right when people purchase. So it's safe to kind of reach out to them before and ask them the terms of conditions, etc. And One Shopping Cart is another one Jan used for the WP Summit. It worked pretty well for him. It's not the best solution, I wouldn't say, with affiliate programs. There's always like some hiccups there, here and there. So it's just make the best out of it, I would say.
Okay, so one shopping cart is a potential affiliate.
Yeah, Deal Guardian and ClickBank too would work great if you have all the content pretty much ready in terms of when you start promoting and people starting to purchased all access pass. You need to be able to deliver something in a protected membership area, so it's not empty in there, because they check it out if you use ClickBank or Deal Guardian.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the affiliate side, because this is where the self-publishing summit really blew up in my mind. Hey, we're going to recruit all of these influential speakers, and I was very flattered to be included among them. And they're going to send it out to their email list, which I was happy to do, because I was like, look at all these amazing speakers. And Chandler would send me notes. He's like, dude, you're not going to believe who I just got. And, so it was an exciting thing. It was a very high value thing to share with my audience, with my followers. And on top of that, it was like, okay, if anyone registers for it's totally free, but if anyone does buy the lifetime access, you'll get half of that, or you get 50% of that as affiliate commission. Like, okay, great. Is that typically how these things are promoted, to incentivize the speakers to share with their audience?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously one way. I mean, to get speakers to promote, there's a lot of things that comes to mind to me. And you mentioned one thing, like, yeah, they get 50% of the all access pass. But honestly, that's not, for most speakers, especially if they have a successful business, making $48 of an all access pass is not so much,
That's not very exciting for most people. I was happy for it.
Yeah, I mean, great. But I mean, for most people, it's not maybe the main incentive why they're promoting it in the first place. So,
right. Well, the main incentive is like, hey, this is I believe this to be valuable information. Right.
And there's a lot of speakers that frequent a lot of summits, and I've actually asked those speakers, what makes you really promote this summit to your most valuable asset, your email list? I asked them this question because I was curious. I see them on many different summits, and some summits they promote, and some summits they won't promote. Maybe they share it on Twitter, but I mean, we all know social media doesn't drive a ton of people to sign up. We want more people to check out our summit. So the first thing I would say is obviously having, as you said, have something valuable that they want to share with their audience, I mean, also that in terms of the way it looks, the way it comes to is put together, the graphics of the speakers. I've seen so many horrible summits, excuse the expression, but it's really makes me cringe, and from the outreach actually to the promotion, I can tell you what I mean by that. Some people, they send this long email to me, and they have at the end, if you agree, sign the contract, and let's schedule the interview. I'm like, in the first email, you want me to sign something? I don't even know you.
Yeah.
So that's not the right way. I mean, I mentioned some ways how you should go about it here in this interview already, but and then they also, and not only that, in the contract it says you need to send 1 or 2 emails to your email list, and it feels like a prison pretty much. Like, you have to do this. You have what's in it for me.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my knowledge to your summit, and if you only want me because I have a decent sized list and an engaged audience, I don't know if I want to be a speaker on this summit in the first place.
Yeah, that was one I turned down, because that was just, I don't know. I guess the intention behind all of these is that the speakers would share with their list, but that was a big turnoff for one of them, because I was like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, it was just kind of a weird one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what most people say. That's like, people, they want to grow their audience. Yes, I also wanted to grow my audience with the branding. So I'm not going to say no. I just wanted to feature a lot of people and, share great content with my existing list. No, I wanted to grow my audience. Chandler, he wanted to grow his audience. That's why we partner up on this project as well. We wanted to get at least 10,000 opt-ins. Now we happen to get even more because it was so great. We got over 25,000 people sign up to this event. And that happened because we didn't put all eggs in one basket in the first place. We didn't only have speakers to promote. We had other affiliates on board. That's why how we could get it to reach so many more people. And I would say this also, we actually had an affiliate manager to help out with a lot of these things in terms of not only getting our speakers to promote, but also reaching out to other partners. And you make it super clear and easy for the speakers and affiliates to promote. In terms of we sent email copy to speakers and non-speakers, banner images, graphics, all this helped. I'm sure you can attest to this, Nick. Like, we made it like super easy for you to just share it with your list, maybe tweak a few things here and there so it makes sense for your voice to share with your list.
Yeah, this is probably the most important part of it, because you don't want to go through the effort to record all these videos, to do the tech stuff, to get the back end, the payment processing, get the whole site set up, and then not have anybody promote it. Like this is like the success or failure of the summit, like rides on this promotion. And we should give Matt McWilliams, who ran the affiliate thing, a shout out for this. He did an awesome job. And it was kind of funny to see his name, because I remember him from these affiliate marketing forums that, I was participating back 5-6 years ago. So it was cool to see him, and some of the stuff that he did, like you say, he was sending out like the leaderboard, kind of like getting people pumped up. He was sending out, sample email scripts, which were super helpful. Like, if I have to write something completely from scratch, like that's much more done. That's just one more hurdle to overcome. Like if you give me some sample, okay, I can tweak that. I can work with that. If you're giving out like sample graphics for Facebook, for Twitter, like that stuff is awesome. Like all that stuff that's going on, like trying to make it easy for people to promote. And then what was cool, finding people even beyond the speakers who, hey, this might be a good fit for your audience too, if you want to share.
Right. And I mean, in terms of if you don't have an affiliate manager, you have to maybe go out in Facebook groups, different relevant Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. I mean, you have to be a little bit creative with this, like especially if you are new, you don't know so many people in your space already. If you know people, that's great. If it's a great event. And, in Chandler's case, we actually had this high-end product. You mentioned how we get people really excited to promote as well. We actually had not only the All Access Pass. First, they sign up for free. They purchase the All Access Pass. That's obviously 50% commission for the speakers and affiliates. That's great. But not only this, we had actually a lifetime cookie added. If they were to purchase Chandler's high-end program, Self-Publishing School, they also got 40% on that anytime. So if they purchase in 2 years from now, you will get a commission there, Nick. So like that was powerful. And if you have a business, like a 6 to 7 figure business already, or even if you just have a product, in place that is a little bit more expensive, that can add value for speakers and other affiliates to promote, because other affiliates, especially if you don't know them that well, they maybe want something in it for them. And usually it helps if it's a great event, obviously, to share with their audience, and also if they can make some money off it. So that was a big in for that we get a lot of people to promote, and also that we had a great conversion from the summit.
Yeah, this is just great. Like there's so many, I can see so many benefits. I'm thinking of like, man, these guys built a 25,000 person email list in a matter of 2 weeks.
And I haven't shared the most exciting thing yet. We talked initially about my summit led to. What it led for Chandler is just amazing. We talked about it a little bit, like 25,000 opt-ins, but we got also over 1,100 sales for the All Access Pass. And now we don't even count what's going to come in afterwards for Self-Publishing School. I'm sure, this 6-figure summit, we actually generate over 6 figures in revenue from the Self-Publishing Success Summit.
Wow. That
will lead into Chandler's high-end program, Self-Publishing School. And that can just turn into this 7-figure empire pretty much. And it's just phenomenal what a summit can do.
Such a like so many different ways you can go, right? Like if you're just starting out, hey, here's a way to build influence and to build your audience and build your list and
right.
borrow some authority from people who already have it. This is a way to make money in the near term, like you said, $20,000 in your case for the branding summit, $100,000 in revenue for the self-publishing summit. Now that you got to subtract out affiliate commissions off of that, but some big dollar figures there. Plus, as just lead generation for whatever other business you want to put at the back end, like lots of different ways.
Yeah. And I haven't even touched upon something like I just reminded myself, like for Jan's summit, the WP summit about WordPress. He didn't do the massive summit. He grew his list with like 600%. He had a very small list when he started, so it was still great. So this is like worth, even if you're new to the game, you can grow your list with thousands of people. And he actually had sponsors on board for his summit. So he reached out to a lot of these big WordPress blogs like WP Engine, Cloudways, I believe GoDaddy, a lot of blogs like that, and they actually gave him the opportunity to have a few $1,000s already from start,
Wow.
And also being, he got like, I think free hosting from Cloud. It's different things. So there's just like endless opportunities,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Like, imagine like having a few $1,000s just come in from sponsorships. If you have a health summit, you can have a lot of supplements, whatever you want to feature there, like food. And in the online marketing case, it makes sense to have like domain names, maybe tools you're using and endorsing yourself and your business, like lead pages or something like that. Then you can make money from them, either as an affiliate. Even if you don't get the sponsor, you can still include the logos on your site and say sponsored by, or at least endorsed by, which when people click on this and purchase, you make commission.
You got my gears turning about the forthcoming Side Hustle Virtual Summit.
Right. I would love to see that.
I don't know, man. It's like, do you see these lasting a while, or do you see this being something that is, the fad for this year and next, and then it's kind of done?
I mean, I think since they have been around for a very long time, people keep doing them and they work extremely well. It's like podcasting has been around forever and it's just growing. And I think the thing with virtual summits, like people have to realize, there's so many different aspects and different markets. It's not just like, for example, we are in the online marketing space. We see a lot of these summits. It's not only this field, and there's so many different topics you could cover, so many different angles, and also it's great ways to stand out. You were part of Anthony Tran Summit. He did one of the most impressive jobs I've seen with the video production, like great video branding. So there's many ways to have your, what I call the hook of your summit and really making that great. Marissa Murgatroyd, she has the superhero theme, which works great. Anthony had the all-star theme combined with, his great video branding for his, for his summit.
Do you remember what he used for video recording?
He used Skype, but he edited with ScreenFlow. I forgot to mention, Google Hangouts or Skype with Ecamm call recorder works great for actually producing the interviews or recording this. Okay. And then you have to use like an editing software. I'm very simple when it comes to editing. I just put it in there, export it to like 1,280, 720, something like that. But he went the extra mile to create the most amazing videos I've seen on any summit or interview for that matter. So that's a way to stand out if you know how to do it, or if you want to take the extra time. That's worth it. I mean, speakers love it. If you can do something like that, they want to be part of it. I'm sure they want to promote I saw he put out these preview videos on YouTube, and that's a great way to obviously promote your event if you rank for the speaker's name, and they also can share it on their social media and so on. So there's so many ways to stand out. So I don't think summits will go anywhere soon, or at least not disappear. I mean, people just have to create these epic summits, not just any summit you see out there and you get invited on and it makes you cringe. You have to create a great experience, treat it as a product, then you'll have a lot of success.
Okay, I like it. It's virtualsummitmastery.com and then virtualsummitmastery.com/cheat sheet.
Yeah, this is my 7-step cheat sheet to basically create, promote, and profit from your virtual summit. A lot of things. I've shared some things here today, and there's some more steps. Actually, Chandler, he went through this before we started working together. He kind of filled out the blanks a little bit in my cheat sheet, and it worked quite well for him. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. Obviously, my main website is navidmoazzez.com.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining me, and let's wrap things up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
Focus on building authentic, powerful relationships before you actually need them. That's how I got people to promote my summit like crazy, even though it was not as professional as Chandler's, in terms of all the things we had with affiliate manager. I did it pretty much by myself, and it was because I had the relationships in place. So use some of the tips I shared here today, like going out there, commenting on their blogs, leaving video reviews for the book if they have that, maybe even joining a mastermind or course, the influencer has. Like, just go the extra mile to add value to someone, and you will get a lot of things in return yourself moving forward.
I can definitely attest to that. Navid, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon. This edition of the Side Hustle Show is brought to you by Lead Pages. Last year, I was the world's most reluctant Lead Pages customer because I didn't want yet another monthly subscription service commitment. But the results in the 12 months since then have converted me from a hesitant buyer to a Lead Pages evangelist. This software makes my life easier every day and has helped me make exponential strides in growing Side Hustle Nation over the past year. It's paid for itself many times over. I don't know what I was so worried about, but that's just how I am. Now, when you're ready to make the investment, use my affiliate link, sidehustlenation.com/leadpages. Forward me your receipt, and I'll shoot over a copy of the exact step-by-step process I use the software for. Sound good? That's sidehustlenation.com/leadpages. So when can I mark my calendar for your virtual summit? Are you convinced? And this has got me going. It's something I definitely want to test out in the future. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment at sidehustlenation.com/130. While you're there, you can check out all the links Navid shared, and you can also grab a copy of the free PDF highlight reel document that I created for this episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, let's go out there, make something happen, and I'll catch up with you in the next edition of The Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.